also understanding what the issues are out there in the public, to learn what those issues are, to provide a factual basis for the committee and the board relative to those issues so that we're all speaking from a common language.
Welcome to the Rockland Board of Sewer Commissioners meeting, Tuesday, March 9th, 2021. Please be advised that this open meeting is being broadcast live and recorded by WRPS for playback on demand within 24 hours of this event at WRPSRockland.com. Thank you. And we'll start the meeting with a discussion with the town administrator and town accountant, explaining the establishing a sewer enterprise fund.
Thanks, Walter. I'm Doug Lapp. I'm the town administrator.
Yeah.
For those of you that may be watching, I thought I would just do a very quick intro and summary, and then I can turn it over to the town accountant for a little bit more detail on any other questions you might have. But both the town accountant and I are relatively new in town, and one of the things that that the accountant realized is a much better way to be handling the accounting for the sewer department would be through an enterprise fund. And we're having the same discussions right now with the water department as well. And I just want to explain just sort of generally in sort of layman's terms, what we're talking about is just changing the way that things are handled in the accounting department and how they're reported to the Department of Revenue. What we're talking about is not changing in any way how the sewer department functions. And I also want to be very clear that we're not talking in any way about taking any funding away from the sewer department. And it's actually really just the opposite of that. So to be more clear, the way that things are currently structured in Rockland, there are special revenue funds that if through the strict letter of the law with the Department of Revenue, at the end of the year, any balances that you have left should technically be scooped up and sent over to the general fund and can't be carried over from year to year. So this is something that, we have new auditors in town that we brought on board. They realize this, immediately that an enterprise fund is a more appropriate accounting method. In addition, the Department of Revenue has also recommended it. And I know that we did provide a 1.5-page summary from the Department of Revenue that just gives an overview of what enterprise funds are. And I just wanted to highlight a couple of very brief things. One is it's just a different way of handling the accounting and financial reporting. And it's only allowed for certain types of activities. And they're activities where a fee is charged in exchange for goods and services. Obviously, you charge fees for sewer connections. And it's not allowed for any type of activity, but the ones that the Department of Revenue always highlight as the best examples are utilities like water and sewer. Those are the first two ones on that Department of Revenue example they give on the document. But I think the most important thing that I think you should care about and want to endorse is that with an enterprise fund, as you generate your revenue and you run your operations, at the end of the fiscal year, when you have a balance, with an enterprise fund, any of your funds that are remaining at the end of the year can be carried over into next year, and they're treated as what they call retained earnings. So you keep all of your sewer revenues and they roll over and build up year after year. And part of the reason why the Department of Revenue allows this kind of structure is because you have these highly capital intensive plants and collection systems, and you need to be able to stockpile your money to be able to invest in studies and plant upgrades and things like that. So it's just the proper way to handle the accounting. The way it would work, assuming you agree, is that we would have an article on the town meeting warrant where town meeting would vote to establish the enterprise fund. And then going forward after that, enterprise fund budget would have its own town meeting warrant article where you would, appropriate funds out of there for all your activities. And again, it does not take a penny away from the sewer department. On the contrary, it actually helps you keep all the revenues you have and build them up year to year. So that's my kind of high level overview. The town accountant, Elizabeth Zaleski, can answer any more technical questions, but I don't know, Biz, if you have more you want to supplement or you just want to see if there's questions.
I will see if there's questions. It's pretty straightforward on enterprise fund. Experience-wise, my last employer, I had 6 enterprise funds, which went from waterways or harbor master fees. We had a ferry, we had a recreation, water, sewer, So it's standard in the municipal industry. So I'm more than happy to answer your questions if I can.
I have a very probably stupid question.
No question stupid.
Well, no, if the funds are in there, right?
Mhm.
Can they gain interest? Is it a type of fund that can grow or?
Once you establish an enterprise fund, each enterprise fund is allowed to have interest. So those funds will be separated out. As a matter of fact, the treasurer and I were talking about that this morning. We'll be separating these funds into bank accounts and you will garner interest. That's not just for the sewer department, but also for the water department.
So the monies that the sewer department would have in that enterprise account, that
Mhm.
interest would go to the sewer department, would be split between water and sewer? Or?
No, you'd both be separate enterprise funds.
Okay, okay.
So you would have yours and water would have theirs.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions that I can assist you with?
I personally, I think it's a win-win. I mean, I can't see any downside to that.
It is for the benefit of the sewer department and the residents. It will help you remain more consistent and stable as you grow.
It's kind of funny why we didn't do it in the past. I mean, it just seems so perfect.
Yeah, I agree, Chuck. And I think also you'll see that's why so many other communities have it. That's why the Department of Revenue, allows for this. And as Biz said, many other communities have other ones for other types of enterprises. So we agree. It seems like it's a no-brainer.
Oh, well, I agree with that, but how does that roll over to the other one that you put in, a standardization fund? Are they the same, one and the same? Or is it all different animal?
It's different, but I'll let Biz explain it. She'll do a better job.
Okay, what we're also recommending, not just for the sewer department, but the water department, each year you have what's called retained earnings when you're an enterprise fund. And right now you have an undesignated fund balance. So what we're trying to do with the stabilization fund is help you start to save money for your future projects that you're going to be facing. We know you're going to need a lot of upgrades to the treatment plant. So each year you should be taking a portion of your unretained, undesignated fund balance or retained earnings once you're enterprise and putting that into a stabilization account, which is a savings account. That savings account stays solely with the sewer department and or the enterprise fund in question. In order to use this, you have to go to town meeting vote and they will transfer money based on the recommendation of the sewer commissioners, transfer money from the stabilization fund into your general operating budget to cover any type of expenses. So this should be reserved for larger capital expenses, not day-to-day operations.
I mean, you can really, Chuck, you can think of it kind of like the regular stabilization for the town that I know you're familiar with. It's just like the regular stabilization, but instead it's just a mini one only for the sewer department.
See, I never heard of the stabilization. Now, is that fund also interest gain interest in that fund?
Yes, it does.
Well, as far as the enterprise fund, like you said, Doug, I think that's a no-brainer. The only thing I would ask with that, the stabilization is new to me. If I could have a week or so to read up on that again, or maybe if I have questions, can I call you, Elizabeth, on it?
Of course you can.
Just let me, if I could, let me just read up on that a little bit more. But I mean, they seem like both winners. I don't see how there's a downside.
And just like, again, think of the stabilization fund just this in the same manner that you think of the town's regular stabilization fund. It's a rainy day fund.
See, I've never heard of that, to be honest with you.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. It's like a rainy day fund. It's just a separate account that you sock some money away in for when you need it later.
Okay, question on that. One other question. On a stabilization fund, if there was an emergency elsewhere, can that be tapped into by the town?
No.
And the same with the enterprise fund, correct?
Correct. Before we go too much farther, Mr. Hessian, I'd like for Mr. Simmons to give me essentially the approval to speak to you about these funds. I have no problem with it, but I don't know if by just speaking with you directly, I'm violating.
No. Oh,
Okay.
No, honestly, glad then.
Okay.
I don't. You tell me how you want to format my questions, go through Walter and him forward them to you, or
Yeah.
however you want to do it. I'll do it that way.
It's up to the vote of the commissioners, how you'd like to handle that, and that's how I will do it. So, Mr. Simmons, if he just wants to chime in by the end of the meeting, and then we'll be good to roll.
Yeah, Walter, I have no question, no problem forwarding. He's gone. Oh, there he is.
Here he
I
is.
have no
Yep.
problem emailing you the questions. You can send them to Elizabeth or vice versa. I don't know. You make the call on that.
Oh, that's fine.
Thank you.
Can I ask you another stupid one? Doug, if this is, like I said, this sounds too good to be true, to be honest, an enterprise fund. What would have prohibited us in the past from going with it? What, is this new?
Enterprise funds have been out since roughly 2007. And it's on how past history was done with the community, on how you recorded information, and sometimes you just don't change it. We're trying to take the opportunity to help the town grow into different facets of financial management. This is one of them.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
What's that?
So I think the main thing we were looking for, because we're going to be, closing the warrant soon, and, we have everything structured, based on the assumption that you guys would agree, that this makes sense. So I just, it would be nice to have a little bit of direction that if you both concur, which again, we 100% recommend following this. And again, the water department will be doing the same thing on their end. That'd be helpful to have that input tonight so we can proceed.
I have, unless Walter does, from my take, I have absolutely no hesitation on the enterprise. And like I said, just as a matter to be comfortable, I'd just like to read up a little bit more into stabilization. And like, again, that seems like a winner too. I read the enterprise fund, but like I said, I never heard of the other one. So
Sure.
just bear with me the rest of the week and I'll get it.
Walter, are you comfortable as well with the enterprise fund?
Yes, I am, very much so.
All right. So I think we have the direction that we're looking for. That's great. So we'll proceed with including the enterprise fund article and the related articles on the warrant.
Thank you.
Yep. And then I think at some point, hopefully soon at an upcoming meeting, you guys will go over the various articles for the capital projects, and then we'll get those squared away, because obviously we need to finalize the warrant soon. So that'll be helpful if you guys could do that at maybe your next meeting as soon as you're able.
Is there a meeting on Thursday night that those items can be on your agenda? Robin, do you know if there's a meeting Thursday night?
There is a meeting on Thursday night.
That's,
It's not on Zoom though, but I can still record the vote if they want to vote on the articles. And do you need them to put in a motion to approve the development of the enterprise fund?
No, all they have to do is approve the article on the go forward, and that will be sufficient.
Okay. Walter, do you mind if I add those to the agenda for Thursday?
no, I don't.
I mean, we're fortunate we have town council on the Zoom here, so Chris can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think if you're gonna, is your meeting, what else is on your meeting on Thursday that you said you were not recording?
It's just an executive session
That's
based
what I
on
thought.
tonight's, the results of tonight's meeting.
I got you. Yep. So I think if you're going to do an open session discussion, though, it would need to be broadcast and shown live to comply with the open meeting law. I think this is not.
Why don't we just do it that we have a meeting the 27th, the last Thursday of the month? Why don't we do it too late?
I think that'll be too late.
It'll be too late. Could you do this if you're meeting anyways on Thursday, either before your executive session or after it? Just have an open session meeting on Zoom, just like you're doing now, where you'd address the articles. Is that
My only dilemma with that, Doug, is I'm going to be in Connecticut. I'm pushing as it is to get back for 7. I mean,
okay?
I can't
Well,
get out of this, but
That's fine. We can coordinate it later, but I think as soon as you guys are able to have the discussion to go over the articles, the sooner the better, so that we can finalize the warrant. But our main purpose tonight was the enterprise funds. So appreciate your time very much, guys, and good luck with the rest of your agenda tonight.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Yeah. Bye now.
we know that lunch is when they pick off women. And so the protocols that we apply to a lunch period would be extraordinarily important in keeping our students safe.
Final candidates for the sewer superintendent position?
Full days,
Is there somebody else talking?
usually they're 2 full
I
days
think so.
or half days, like the model we chose.
Oh, okay. Want me to open it, Walter, or do you wanna, Stacy, do you wanna?
I'll open it for the
Okay.
final candidates for the sewer superintendent position. I'll make a motion to hire,
It won't work well if we're trying to keep the environment safe.
pardon?
So cafeteria would be students facing the same direction, 6 feet apart.
There's some background
Yeah,
music.
I'm having a hard time hearing.
Yeah, there's somebody talking in the background. I don't know what that is.
Classroom, you would only be sitting
Sounds like another meeting.
I
Yeah,
know.
So there's not mixing within the lunchroom too.
Is,
We're also.
could that be coming from the W? Oh, no, that's on.
I think, yeah, I thought it was too, and then, but looks like they're on mute.
In addition, there'll be
Stacy, it's not coming from me.
potentially recesses that would be individually scheduled, so the only out there.
who's talking?
But
Who's
at
that talking?
You may have a couple of different classrooms or more out at the same time. And so we're working on stations that kids could rotate through with their cohort.
Attorney Kenny, can you mute for me for 1 second?
Yeah,
To discuss
So it seems to have gone away. Walter, do you hear anything? Are we back?
Pardon?
That
Yeah.
stopped it on my end.
It stopped on my end when Chris hit mute.
It stopped on my end as well.
Hmm.
You all set?
Go ahead, Walter.
Okay. I'll make a motion to hire new sewer superintendent position. I'll give you Brian Kiley from Hull. He's the assistant director of sewer plant. And that's my vote.
I had just the opposite. I went to Keith with his years of municipal field, the 28 years. His infrastructure and facility upgrade. He had a good awareness of new users and needs the knows to need balanced. I like the idea, especially the idea where he's had experience, good grant skills, and developed state contacts for grants. We're going to need that grant money. That's what we're going to do. And he keyed in on working closely with the planning boards. I think Brian has got a good educational background, but to me, he's young, and I don't think he would fit long-term in the Rockland plan. I think if something bigger and better came on, at his age, I'd jump at it too, and I don't think we're at that position to do it. Couple things hit me on Brian in the first interview. He said he ran a tight ship, and then he just gave me the impression that it was with the staffing, it would be his way or the highway. And especially where he got a little off track with the part about the public. I mean, he went on a good 10 minutes about the public could be a derailment. And I think with a $50 million upgrade being banted about after a new school, I think that public involvement is going to be really, really important. Again, I'm gonna stick with Keith because he has the 20 years of municipality. And the other thing that just dawned on me, he's got experience with the Waverman Naval Air Station too. He did a lot of the infrastructure work over there. You know, that could be a viable option for us down the road. And I'd hate to lose that.
Oh, I just feel that Brian, actually, he's good with budgets and negotiating with contractors. He saved the town quite a bit of money on different engineering projects that he seen through. and several other things. He hands-on. I think it was the water buffer or whatever, because they're so close to the water down there.
What, the ocean?
What?
It's close to the ocean?
Yeah, down in Hull. You ever been to Hull?
Yeah, but I didn't know what that had to do with sewer, Walter. I mean,
Well, they had problems down there a few years back.
uh-huh. But he wasn't there 2 years back.
Well, he is the assistant director, and that's his
And Keith is the
only
director.
position.
And Keith is the director.
Yeah, of different departments.
No, Public Works, sewer and water. And
Yeah. Department of Public Works.
he does have the sewer. It's, I think we're at a loggerhead here because I'm gonna stick with my
Okay, I'm going to stick with mine too.
okay. So why don't we do this? Why don't we agree to disagree? We have a meeting the end of the month. Let's think about it some more. I mean,
You can too.
huh?
I mean, we're putting these two men off too long
I'm
now.
not going to make a bum choice, and I'll tell you, I think I
I'm not either.
agree. Do I agree that Brian has a good academic background? Yes, but he doesn't have the hands-on. He's been there 2 years. We're looking at a guy who's got 28 years of hands-on. Come on, I mean, the other guy, he was a consultant, Walter. That's not touchy-feely. That's not getting down and dirty in it. That's what we need. And the other thing to point out and to remember something that I had specifically said, we're a blue-collar town and where it's a one-man operation. He didn't like that. He just, where's my notes here? He came back with low staffing is an issue. He said he might have to offsource some project management or some things to be done. We can't afford to offsource. We don't have the money. We're going to be taking a hit in our budget as it is. We can't afford this. And that was in the very first interview that it was clear to them that they have to be self-sufficient to write the grants, to write these reports, to write these engineering studies. He came right out and said, he's used to a staff to designate down there. And his exact words were, low staffing is an issue. He might have to offsource some outside project management for things to get done. We don't have that luxury.
Have they established a salary yet?
No, I don't think we agreed on it.
Yeah, so
Pardon?
that's something, and sorry about that. I think that was my computer making that noise before, so I apologize. It was kind of hidden. But
I
so
don't
yeah,
think the salary should be an issue now till we decide who.
so yeah, that's something once, once the board, basically undeadlocks or is able to hopefully make a decision. I understand that, you're deadlocked right now, and that sounds like a good plan to, maybe go back and, certainly you can reconvene at a later time. But once a decision was made, basically, there would be a vote to make a conditional offer of employment, to whoever the sewer superintendent candidate, subject to negotiation of an employment agreement and final background check. So basically, right. So once you pick your final candidate, then you'd go into executive session to discuss the, money and whatever other terms of the employment.
Does anyone know what the salaries are for Keith and Brian?
Yeah, well,
Well, I don't think we should be talking about salaries. I handle out who? All right. I don't think salaries is an issue right now. What does that got to do with the candidate? We have.
Well, what if
And one more thing, Walter.
what if they don't get enough?
Well, here's what I'm thinking, that, Walter, you didn't ask one question at either interview. You didn't take one no.
That's got nothing to do with this.
No, but you didn't. I mean, you should have raised it. If you had these things about the
difference
budget,
would
they
that have
both
made?
answered them.
I want to know.
Huh?
What difference would that have made?
Where are your notes that you're going back on for memory?
I've heard enough of you.
Walter, we've had 16 years enough of you.
Pardon?
Get down to the point. I'm sticking with Keith. I think long term he fits Rockland's needs. Experience. He's got inroads. He claims to grant money with the state. The other one is just, and does he have academics? Yeah, but academics
Yeah.
not hands-on. This guy's got to be standalone. He's not going to be able to build the staff. And he made it quite clear that the staffing is an issue with him. He said he might have to off-source some stuff. We can't off-source. We don't have the money. And that was clear in interview 1. Whoever came into this is going to be standalone. He knew that the first interview. He did it in the second view. In the second interview, to be honest, he spent a good amount of time basically going over when I asked him about public involvement, the public gets in his way. I mean, that's not, he went 10 minutes, a great deal of time explaining why public input is not good, can derail projects. It's best to get them involved after the fact. Places limitations, and no, that's back on the staffing. No, I just didn't like his whole approach, to be honest with you. If I had to be blunt, to me, he imploded on that second interview.
Will that be all?
Well, for me,
I'll make a motion to end the meeting.
I'll second that. When are we going to follow up? Might as well set that date now. The 27th? That's the next scheduled meeting.
When's the next scheduled meeting, Rob?
I don't think I can decide it right tonight. When I could.
What? Excuse me, but we have the meeting on Thursday at 7. Does that time frame work?
Okay, then if that's the Thursday agenda would be just to go over the enterprise. Want to take a vote on that? We could do that right now.
Yeah, they could. It's on the agenda. Well, you could vote on the enterprise fund because it's on the agenda, but the articles are not.
Okay. So we'll wait till Thursday night, see if anything changes.
Robin, will that be a Zoom or no? You won't be consistent.
It would be a Zoom meeting because we were reserving it for executive session if we had a candidate, but it's not up to me to call the meeting. I was just putting it out there in case Walter and Chuck wanted to make a motion to hold the meeting on Thursday.
Okay.
Well, how does this affect our negotiation? The negotiation when the candidate still has to go in open meeting.
Right. So, yeah, I mean, I'd probably recommend canceling the executive session if obviously you're not going to, necessarily know.
Right, but I was suggesting that instead of the executive session, they go back to this conversation and they vote on the articles.
Right. Yeah. You could definitely set it. Just cancel executive and set it for an open session for those items. You could do that.
Chris, let me ask you a question.
Sure.
Could we didn't take part in that tour.
You didn't. I'm sorry.
Commissioners did not take part in that tour.
In what?
I
tour?
asked him
what tour?
The plant tour that was held between the people from Suez gave the tour.
Okay. I'm not familiar with
Could
that.
I seek input from them how they felt?
Well, I asked, I don't mean to interrupt, but I actually, after the tour, I did ask how the tours went, and they were, for both candidates, said that they were very professional. Either candidate will do a great job, and they felt confident.
How about the personal interaction?
They asked very good questions and, and participated in a professional manner.
How about the personal interaction with them? How they feel they would get along with them as a staff?
Well, Chris, you can add to this, but and correct me if I'm wrong, but don't they work for us? I don't know that we should be getting personal interaction
Well, these are guys that'll be involved in the day-to-day operation that this guy will oversee. I don't expect them to be telling him how to do the job, but there's.
Right, but this could also be a person determining a contract for Suez or another company in the years to come. So that,
No, that's true. No, that's true. That's a good point. Good point. Well taken.
Yeah, and Chuck, just part of, and I think, we've talked about this a little bit before. It's part of the whole thing, with the hiring process is, with the whole public open meeting law and having everything out in open session. And so that's part of the,
No, I agree. No.
issue with that.
Understood. No more said on that. All right, I make a motion. We continue this conversation Thursday night.
Excuse me. Maybe I spoke out of turn, but we don't have time to update the agenda on the town website for Thursday because it's after 4:30. My mistake. I shouldn't have made that suggestion.
Okay, so we'll stick with the articles and the enterprise fund and put this off maybe till next week. Or to make it the 27th. Let's have time to really think this over. We're scheduled for the Thursday, the 27th, I believe.
That's too late for Doug and Biz. They needed you to vote on those articles.
Oh, no, that's not what I'm saying, Robin. We can still meet Thursday to vote on the articles in the enterprise fund.
Right, but what I was saying was it's too late to put those on the agenda for Thursday. My mistake, and it actually opened that up.
Okay.
Are you able to make amendments? And I apologize, that's not my forte. I don't generally
No, I don't think you can.
schedule meetings.
I
Okay.
think you need the 48 hours.
I mean.
I don't think it's an agenda item.
Hours if you can.
All right, why don't we just go for next Tuesday then? Chris? You have a problem with that, next Tuesday?
Oh, no, that's fine.
Oh, wait a minute. No, I can't. I have the zoning board meeting.
What time is zoning board?
7. No, 6:30. At Shingle Mill.
Could we do 4 o'clock and then the zoning, or do you?
It's when I can get home space. I mean,
Oh.
I'm juggling as it is. I could say Thursday for sure. At 4.
Thursday, the 18th?
Yeah, I could do that for sure at the 4. Yep.
Well, since the enterprise fund was on the agenda and the attachments included the articles, would you be able to vote on those tonight? Or do you not have enough time?
Oh, no, we could probably vote on the enterprise fund, not the stabilization fund. See, the articles technically weren't on the agenda. It was an explanation.
They were attachments though from Biz. I forwarded them to everyone. They were under the umbrella of the enterprise fund.
Yeah, but we didn't advertise a vote on the articles. I mean, that's Chris's territory. I had some edits to make into the a couple of the articles anyway.
All right.
Yeah, I can look at, let me look at the posting.
Chris, am I able, I do have like an observation on what Chuck was saying. Am I able to communicate that, or is it best for me to just leave that between Chuck and Walter?
I think it's fine. I mean,
Okay.
regarding the Suez or?
No, regarding what Walter was, what Chuck had mentioned about the candidate, Brian, from his interview.
Go ahead. I don't mind.
Well, is that all right, Chris?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
No, I understand what you're saying. First of all, I think both candidates are qualified. They both, have the education and the background, and I definitely see both sides and the points that you have brought out, because I really do think that they're both excellent candidates. But when I understand what you had mentioned, Chuck, about Brian having difficulty expressing or kind of going around about of not wanting to involve the public. I did watch that over and over again a couple of times because I think what he was trying to express was, and I mean, obviously he would have to speak to this, but from watching it, it sounded like he was trying to get the point across that yes, he believes the public is important, but that he would need to do his job and come up with the, the background of the project and why it needs to be what it is, and then, reach out to the public as opposed to getting the public's input from the start. And I don't know if he misunderstood your question or if it just took him a little way to get there, but I think if you rewatch it, and I'm not in favor of one or the other. I'm not in favor of one or the other. I just think I wanted to clarify that because I think it might be important to just rewatch. I think his idea didn't come across originally as he wanted it to, but in the end, I think he did get to the point that yes, it is important to get the public's input. It just not from the beginning.
No, and I looked at that again, and I did see that, and I feel the same way. That's not a big thing on my decision. It is, I feel strongly the public should be involved. But the one thing he did, I mean, when he came flat out and said, like we stated in the very beginning, the first interview, it was going to be a one-man show. We made that crystal clear. He basically said that, he used to have, what do you say, 5 on the staff and
Yes.
delegating and that. I don't know. I think if I'm going to phrase this correctly, I think he is more of a delegator than hands-on. This is going to be a hands-on. We made that very clear. And when he came right out and said that lower staffing means he may have to offsource some project management to get things done, that offsourcing is not an option here. We don't have the money.
And I
We made it clear whoever came in this position was going to have to be able to write his own technical documents and do the day-to-day operation of the superintendent. We made it clear from the get-go. And again, I think academically, he is sound, very sound. But as far as the municipal experience, one has 28 years, the other's got 2 years. There's a big difference in consulting and hands-on. And this guy also said that he had experience over at the base. That base is still in our future. And the big thing with us, we need the experience of going out after municipal grants. This guy's got it.
Okay, I'm not, and honestly, however you
Okay, no,
decide, that's
Stacey,
your
you've been great
decision.
through this whole.
I just want to make sure that that was clear because I didn't want a misconception out there.
Nope. And I appreciate your involvement in this from the get-go. I really do. And I thought about this long and hard. This is not something I'm taking very lightly, but it's also a position that whoever takes it, I'm going to be comfortable. He's here for the long run with Rockland. This can't be a stepping stone. And he again went back, Brian, and said this is the next stepping stone for him. And he kept referring to a position as a director's position. It's a superintendent's position. I think the guy is capable. I'm not denying that. But I think he's just young and he's looking for bigger and better things. And I think we have a guy that's looking for some stability and 28 years municipal experience. How can you beat that? And if he's been doing grants for 28 years, come on, it's a no-brainer. But let's talk about that next week, I guess. Walter, you want to set a date for next week? Any day but Tuesday is good for me.
Yeah, next Thursday,
Okay, 4 o'clock?
4 o'clock.
Okay, make a motion, we adjourn the meeting.
I'll second that.
Okay,
All in favor?
aye.